Welcome to the MS Gym podcast. I'm your host, Jody Feltham, and it's about to get real as we listen to the victories and struggles of our own MS Gym members. So let's dive in. Hello, MS Gym family. I am so glad you could join us today for another podcast here. The MS Gym is not only for those with MS, but we also have a lot of other members with different neurological conditions. And so today I'm excited to talk to Trish as her journey with neurological issues has been different, but much the same. So Trish, so glad you could join me today.
It's incredible to be here. It's my honor.
So Trish, tell us a bit kind of how things started, how your life suddenly shifted when some of your medical issues kind of came up.
Well, it first started when I had sepsis in 2016, and that was actually a near-death experience because all my systems started to shut down with my kidneys and everything. And I was in ICU for about 3 days and took about 6 months to recover. And then probably in December or January, I started noticing symptoms like head whooshing and the feeling of walking on waves. And I wasn't unfamiliar with those symptoms because my mom has something called spinal cerebellar ataxia 6, which is also known as SCA6. And it just progressed from there. I got genetic testing done and was confirmed in April of 2017. And yeah, it's a neurological disorder that affects the cerebellum.
Okay. And so in talking with you, we've talked about that some of the symptoms are very similar to MS.
Oh, absolutely. I have foot drop, and my whole right side is what we call our healing side, and it's very slow and uncoordinated. And I do have nystagmus that I've been working on with the MSI gym, and sometimes dysarthria, which is slurring. So I don't drink alcohol anymore at all. But if I do have a glass of wine, it looks like I've had about 4 or 5.
So when did you say that you were kind of diagnosed with this other neurological condition?
So I was diagnosed with SCA6 in April of 2017, and probably 8 months later, I had lost my mobility. I had foot drop and just was not really able to get around very much anymore.
Okay. So at the onset of your symptoms, what kind of work were you doing at that point?
I was a clinic manager or a receptionist for a physiotherapy clinic, and I did the booking and the billing and answering phones and did a lot of listening to patients as they were waiting for the physiotherapist. And um, I loved it. Yeah, it was a great job to be in.
Okay. And so your symptoms kind of progressed to the point where you weren't able to continue on with your duties.
Yeah, I was supposed to clean the treatment beds in between patients, and I just really I looked normal, quote unquote normal, as I was sitting at the desk. And as soon as I would get up, you would see people kind of look at me and go, "What the heck is wrong with her?" And
Oh.
they'd always assume it was like a knee problem or a hip problem. And but I was not able to perform my duties, and it was really starting to stress me out. So I decided that in 2019 I would quit and really focus on my healing and my MS gym work, and um, yeah, just really focus on not being stressed out.
Hmm. And I bet your retirement was kind of bittersweet in the fact that it was hard to leave a job that you enjoyed, but at the same time, you lost that stress that you had going in every day and knowing that you had to go and do the cleaning and stuff and knowing what a struggle that might be for you.
Yeah, and for me, I really wanted to weigh the effect of not being out there in the community and connecting with people and hearing their stories, and just really being a presence for people. And I loved administration and organization. Kind of gives me a thrill as a as a perfectionist to get things right and to get things done well. So there's that balance of being at home and not being out in the community and connecting with people, and also just releasing that part of my life and embracing something new.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely a difficult transition to make.
Oh man, it was hard.
Mm-hmm. So you've talked a lot about the MS gym. How did you go about finding it?
I actually didn't find it. My sister found it for me. She knew that I was really struggling with foot drop and foot drag, and she is a researcher by nature.
Mm.
And so she found the MS Gym and the free foot drop exercises that they offer. And she told me about it, and then I looked it up and started doing it. And then, of course, as soon as I signed up for the foot drop exercises, I started getting emails from Trevor. And at first, I was very leery of who is this guy and what is he trying to sell. And I soon discovered that he was the real deal, and he was just had an integrity and authenticity. And I just learned to trust him, and I went on the free Facebook group, and the rest is kind of history.
Hmm. That's awesome. And it's interesting that my story finding the MS gym is very similar. I was
Oh,
struggling with foot drop, and my mom and I were actually searching on YouTube. And I remember doing some of the exercises, and then suddenly I walked without foot drop for the next few minutes.
oh,
And
wow.
I was like shocked. I'm like, I'm sold. So I think many of us MS gymmers have similar stories. So that's awesome. And
Yeah,
and I love how you said about, you were a little bit skeptical in the beginning, right? And I know a lot of people are, especially with online platforms, and definitely, in the last year with recent events in COVID, people are very cautious of online things.
absolutely. Yeah.
But I've had the very fortunate pleasure of meeting with Trevor and Misty 3 times since the MS Gym started, and they truly are who they are on camera. They are incredibly real and authentic people, and
Yeah.
like I think we all feel incredibly blessed that they are a part of our lives.
Absolutely. And when I was looking into buying the membership, I actually my brother and sister-in-law sponsored me for the first year because I was vacillating and saying, "Oh, should I do it? And is it worth the money? Because it's American versus for us Canadians." And then I was investigating whether Trevor could actually do anything for SCA6 because I thought, well, it's all about MS and it's not necessarily going to be for me. And Claire Wilson actually helped me going back and forth and talked to Trevor for me. And he reassured me that any neurological condition can be helped with neuroplasticity and really focused movement and just kind of remapping those blurry brain maps. So I was very excited to have something as an answer because with SCA6, the neurologist will just say, "You have it. I'm just going to release you to your GP, and there's nothing we can do." So there's no drugs, there's no therapy, there's no talk about eat better, sleep better, reduce your stress. So there's really you're just left adrift. So
Mm,
an orphan disease. It's very rare.
yeah. No, and I certainly before meeting you, I've never heard of that neurological disease. But their story that you were just sharing there, I think for a lot of us with MS, some of the doctors, some of our neurologists, although MS is a common disease, there are a lot of neurologists that, for some patients, they kind of wipe their hands clean and they say diet doesn't have anything to do. There's nothing you can do. Like go have a nice life.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's wonderful, when obviously when the MS gym started and then the free group and then the membership and just, even our members only community. Like it's just incredible that we have, not only an awesome coach that keeps things up to date, but, this community. And I know that, you know, um, there's other conditions, obviously, like yours and MS and transverse myelitis. There's so many other neurological conditions. And like you said, neuroplasticity can work for them all. So it's great that
Yeah.
we may be different in some ways, and yet the treatment or the community is so helpful in so many ways. So.
Yeah, and I never have felt anything but part of the MS Gym family. Nobody has ever said, "Oh, you're not an MS person because you don't have MS." So I think that people in the members only corner are very welcoming, and they are literally the most positive, encouraging, and supportive people I've ever quote unquote met. So I love the MOC.
Yeah. And it's so awesome. Like there's encouragement and stuff, but the posts that tend to mean a lot to me are the people that post that they're struggling, right? Where we like to keep things positive, but we never tell people to like hush or sweep things under the rug, right? Like people post that they're struggling and, like suddenly like 2 hours later, there's 50 comments of people saying, I get that I was there. This is what I did, or, this is hard, but your community here loves you. Like it's positive, but we never dismiss the struggle, because obviously MS is hard or neurological disease is hard. And people that are quote unquote healthy, right? They don't understand things the way that we do.
Yeah, I think the one thing that, because I have posted my struggles, and the thing that always amazes me is that people really, really hear me, and they don't give me pat answers. They really take the time to write responses, and I've had 100 people take the time to write, 20 lines, and I just think, yeah, they just really want to say that they've been there that they are there for you, and that sometimes they give advice in terms of what they've done in the past, but most of the time they just love on you. So
I totally agree.
yeah.
So we've talked a bit about kind of what the MS Gym has meant to you. Where do you think that kind of you find your niche in the MS Gym? Like what programs or sessions have you really found helpful in your own life?
I would definitely say, first off, the mindset, the Motivation Mondays, I've been listening to ever since they've come out, and I probably listened to each one about 3 or 4 times because I listen to one when I stretch every morning. And there's always something new to hear, and when you're in a different space, you hear things differently.
Mm.
I have definitely been in the BGB boot camp chair for a while, and I've discovered the bed built, and I found that really has helped me to really feel butts, guts, and blades, and really find how to discover it. I thought 2 or 3 years ago that I knew how to do it, and I'm discovering now that I kind of knew how to do it, but I'm really learning the fine points of it. So
we always talk in the MS Gym about, healing happening in layers. And probably a few years ago, your discernment of what butts, guts, and blades was different than what it is now because you peeled back some of those layers. So you have a better awareness of your body, and what it means for you now to be doing that. So you mentioned about, about the Motivation Mondays. Do you have like a favorite one of Trevor's that you like love to go back and listen to?
I think the one about chemistry, rocks, and butterflies. I don't know if I have the order of that right, but where Trevor talks about titration and the chemistry about the drip, and then all of a sudden something changes. That one really encourages me because it reminds me that day by day, rep by rep, my brain is getting saturated with good movement, and eventually something's going to change. And I think that it's hard to sometimes keep going and be consistent and not always see the change in the foot drop. I think what it really does is it helps me to look for the little victories, and really not look for the big things all the time. To really focus on the effort and not always the result.
Wow, that's a whole lot of wisdom that you just said there. So well, I will link the specific Motivation Monday in the podcast. I agree. That was Trevor's done so many great talks, but I remember that one specifically. And that's an awesome one. I think our listeners would enjoy hearing that. So you talk about, the little victories. Can you share some of your victories, big or small, that you've seen in the last few years?
I think probably the biggest victory has been mindset, learning to let go of the past and what I've lost,
Mm.
and to relinquish the future and the what ifs and what things are going to look like in 30 years, and to really focus on the present and to live fully, and to really um yeah, be present in the everyday life and enjoy the day. So the mindset stuff is huge for me. I have little stains from the MS Gym all over the place, and my little MS Gym postcard by my mirror as I'm, like, I will never give up, and something is better than nothing, and I will love my MS Gym family, and that kind of stuff. Some of the other big victories are I'm finally getting my heel down, so when I stand at the counter, it doesn't pop up. um, and I can do ankle tilts a lot better now. I can get my shoulders down and back. And I think I've been really going through the 5 keys of effective movement again, and just really focusing on proper movement, and really not just getting through a program or getting through an action, but really doing it properly with joint and muscle and breathing and tall spine and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm trying to become a true MS Gym athlete.
Oh, well, you've got the lingo down, because when you were saying that about that whole thing about 5 keys to proper movement or movement efficiency, I thought, oh, I'm gonna have to explain that. And then you said all the points. So it's fantastic. What is it that you want others to see in your life, whether it's your own family members? You mentioned that you have well, to me, you've mentioned that you've got 2 boys, and obviously a community around you. What is it that you want other people to say about you, maybe kindly behind your back? Like, when they hear the name Trish, what is it, what would make your heart sing if they said about you, and seeing you kind of persevere through the struggles in your own life?
I would hope that they would say, "Man, does she ever have strength and courage and a great attitude?" And you know, I really try to be real about my struggles, but I want people to know that I am gentle with myself. I have grace towards myself. Um, I believe that I can heal, and I live with joy. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep trying, and I choose to be grateful for the little things in life and the big things.
That's wonderful. And I know this is a podcast, so they cannot see you, but I can see you smiling for this entire podcast and interview. So I know that your words are full of genuineness and authenticity as well. So
Well, the first couple of years, I had so many meltdowns and so many tears, because you grieve what you've lost. I mean, there's no doubt all the layers of what you've grieved.
yeah.
But the crazy thing is I think learning to live in the moment. I don't think I've laughed so much in the last 4 years, and to me, that's amazing. Every day there's laughter in our family, and um, that's a gift.
That is for sure. And being able to laugh and allow yourself to laugh, because you talked before about learning to live in the present moment. And I think, living with MS or another neurological condition, it's so easy to get stuck in the past or
Mm,
fearful of the future. So
yeah.
learning to live in the present moment is so important for us. And I think that's how you are able to have joy and peace and laughter, is because you
Mhm.
appreciate each moment that comes at you, instead of cranking your head back or cranking your head forward. So
Yeah.
um what goals would you say that you have? Obviously things are different now with COVID, but goals that you might have in the short term or the long term, when COVID thankfully will be behind us one day.
Well, you definitely challenged me in the last Motivation Monday about getting out to the store more often and exposing myself to the sensory stimulus of the noise and the people and the sounds, and I thought, yeah, it's so easy with COVID to be insulated because I don't get out very much. My husband does the shopping, and yeah, getting out is a big deal. And but I'm hoping, um, I guess one of my main things that I'm really working on now is I'm finally practicing and I'm finally understanding pause walking.
Hmm.
And I said to my husband, "You think I was slow before?" Now I'm really a tortoise with rigor mortis, but I'm really starting to feel what it feels like to move properly, and I'm hoping that eventually I'll be able to go for a walk in the forest or go for a walk on the beach. Um, so that's my goal is to really practice my pause walking, and even if they're little walks, just to get to walk in the forest and to really enjoy the things that are around me here in beautiful BC.
Yes, and I can just picture that because you've shared a little bit about what's around you, and I can just imagine the beauty all around you, the forest and the water. It's just, I'm sure just looking at it spectacular, but how much more exciting, to be able to walk within those things. So I think
Yeah.
those are fantastic goals. So so thank you, Trish, for talking to me today. Is there anything else that you would like to share with someone who's maybe first listening to like a podcast or just heard about the MS gym or wonders if the MS gym is for them? Maybe they're like you, they don't have MS specifically, but they're thinking about putting their toes in the water just to see what the MS gym is all about. What kind of advice or thoughts would you have for them?
I would say test out the MS gym, try it. And I think the more that you test it, the more you will see that it's real, it's true, and it works. And the other thing is that with the MS gym, especially the membership, the movement and the mindset in the community are top notch. And they're always reinventing themselves and getting better at things. And the community, I don't know what I would do without the MS gym. So I'd rather be here than to be alone in my home and feeling without hope.
Hmm, that's so true. That's so true. And it's true what you say about, things keep getting reinvented. And, for those listening that are already in the membership, like they just, Ken and Trevor just announced about, the membership 2.0, which was super exciting. And for those that are thinking about trying out, the MS30 was just released, kind of like a taste of what the membership is. It's a low commitment, low financial commitment trial to see what lies ahead. So I think there are incredible opportunities, and where the MS Gym is on, Instagram and YouTube, so many other free resources that you can get to know the MS Gym before you literally take the plunge and join us in our community. So thank you again, Trish. Thank you for taking the time. And I
Hmm.
look forward to seeing the pictures of you. Obviously, when the weather gets a little bit warmer, when the world opens up a little bit more to see you by the beach or see you by the woods. So thanks, Trish. And
You're welcome.
do you want to give a voice to your own story or learn more about the MS Gym? You can check us out at themsgym.com.